Canada, who's learning, a friend in Oklahoma, New Jersey, so all around North America. So she teaches right now for Bhagwat Gita, since it's for little older kids, 12 or older she's teaching. But yeah, I've taken another course from her, which I'll tell you after I explain. So let's first go with an overview of the first chapter of the Bhagwat Gita. Now, like I said, this huge war occurring, and now let's go. So first, verses 1 to 11, section 1 of the first chapter. We're only talking about first chapter today. So it's entitled Duryodhana's Fear. So Duryodhana, basically what happens in this first section is that Duryodhana tells his teacher who all are fighting and which side he's on and which side they're on. So like he says, Krishna is a charioteer of Arjuna. Now, Sanjaya, Dhritarashtra asks Sanjaya what's happening. So then Sanjaya tells that Duryodhana is telling his teacher who all are on which side. And the reason why this is called Duryodhana's Fear is because Duryodhana glorifies his side more, says they're stronger, don't worry, they're stronger, they have more power. But the reason why he glorifies his side more, because he's scared of what the outcome will be of this war, so who's going to win. So that's why he's scared. So that's what I wrote under this. Then verses 12 to 20, that's section 2 of the first chapter of Bhagavad Gita. It's entitled Blowing Conch Shells. Basically, everyone, the important people, they blow their conch shells before the war. And it's really nice because it says who blew the conch shell and what the name is. So it's pretty interesting to hear all the names. Third section, verses 20 to 27. Now Arjuna, he's on his chariot. Krishna is his charioteer, and basically he tells his charioteer to show me, give me a close look of who's on the other team. Now Krishna, he purposely. It's actually, he wanted to tell since he was so eager to tell the Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna, he purposely, out of everyone on the other side, he pulls a chariot, or he drives, or rides the horses. He pulls it towards Dronacharya and Bhishma Dev, his teacher and his grandfather. And so Arjuna, he observes the armies. That's what it's entitled. Now, section 4, the last section of the chapter 1, it's entitled Arjuna's Reasons Not to Fight. Now, Arjuna, he sees his grandfather and his teacher, and he becomes overwhelmed with compassion for them. And then he's like, oh, Krishna, I can't do this. And he states his reasons not to fight. And we'll come to that point in a bit. So, basically, chapters 1 verses, I just have this little flat thing. So the first verse of the Bhagavad Gita is there. Then this one's the verse where it tells which Krishna blowing his conch shell and the name of that, and then Arjuna blowing his conch shell and the name of that, and then Bhima blowing his conch shell and the name of that. So Lord Krishna blew his conch shell named Panchajanya. Arjuna blew his conch shell, the Devadatta, and Bhima blew his conch shell called the Bandra. And I just glued a picture of Krishna and Arjuna just blowing their conch shells. And then I just chose verse 44. So, yeah. Now, next page, I just have all the translations of chapter 1. Now, I don't have time to read this. It's gonna go really long, so I'm not gonna read that. If all of you have the Bhagavad Gita, you can read it on your own. So now we go to the lesson, and then so first I'm going to talk about the O Govinda, I shall not fight. So remember I said section 4, he gets overwhelmed with compassion, and then he states his reason not to fight. So he has 4 main reasons not to fight, and I'll read this little paragraph here. So, overwhelmed with grief, the warrior who never slept during war, the mighty Arjuna has dropped his bow and arrows. Sometimes in life, we don't find the motivation to continue doing what we need to do. Here are Arjuna's 4 reasons for quitting. So, if any of you, just at some point of life, there's a situation and you're like, I just want to escape. fly on an airplane, just go away, like just, abandon the situation. So that's what Arjuna's in. I have never experienced this situation because I'm too young right now, so in the future maybe. So yeah, so his 4 main reasons to fight. First one's compassion. Second one is no enjoyment even if he wins. Third is fear of sinful reactions, and 4 is destruction of the family. So those are his 4 main reasons not to fight. And he has actually, the activity here was I had to find textual evidence of why. So yeah, but now let's go to the main lesson. Forgiveness and compassion. So I'm gonna go back to why this war even happened. I'm gonna go to the Pandavas calamities page. So right here, Pandavas calamities. So these are the calamities they faced for this war to happen. Okay, so I'm gonna read these, and then you might be like, wait, why are you reading these? And then I'll tell you later why. So here are there are 3 types of calamities or suffering. And they are actually on Lord Shiva's trident. So they're the 3 points on Lord Shiva's trident. So the first one is Adi Bhautik, and second one's Adi Devik, and third one's Adi Atmik. So Adi Bhautik is from other living beings, suffering caused from that. Adi Devik is suffering caused from demigods or nature. And Adi Atmik is suffering caused from one's own mind / or body. So on top of these flaps, I have written the calamities and in the different types of categories the Pandavas has faced. So for Adi Bhautik, from other living beings, the Pandavas, they faced living in a forest that was caused from other living beings, Draupadi's disrobing, becoming servants due to gambling, and that was also started from other living beings, and wars like the Kurukshetra, that was caused from other living beings. Then the ones I faced from other living beings. That's bullying, pressure, and global warming. Now, Adi Devik from demigods and nature. So fire that melted their wax house, that was made from fire, but that was also from a person. That was also from other living beings. So that would technically go into both of the categories. Arjuna having to be a girl for a year, that was from Apsara in heaven. And then all Pandavas except Yudhishthira being poisoned. This was Yamaraj. He caused that. He was testing Yudhishthira on how intelligent he was, and so all the Pandavas were poisoned except Yudhishthira himself. So then the calamities I faced from demigods or nature. COVID-19, that's from nature, and also maybe demigods. And global warming, I guess that fits here too. Then finally, Adi Atmik from one's own mind or body. Arjuna confused about fighting, that was from his own mind. So yeah, and then Adi Atmik, the suffering I've faced from in this category, tension / pressure, material attachment, and eating unhealthy. And here I just have 2 quotes of one about Krishna, please save me from these calamities. So this one, if one reads Bhagavad Gita very sincerely and with all seriousness, then by the grace of the Lord, the reaction of his past misdeeds will not act upon him. And then on this one, it says, Uttara said, O Lord of the Lords, Lord of the universe, you are the greatest of mystics. Please protect me, for there is no one else who can save me from the clutches of death in this world of duality. And under this flap, I just added a picture of Gajendra, and I wrote, Krishna always saves his devotees. So yeah, so that was just kind of an example. So I discussed the Pandavas' calamities and what they faced for this war. Now, if you think now about this, Arjuna is feeling compassionate, and he's like, I want to go away from this situation. I want to go away. I don't want to fight them. Even though all these miserable conditions have happened to them, he still wants to forgive him. He's compassionate. So here I have a forgiveness and compassion page, and I'll read this paragraph. Forgiveness and compassion. A leader is more tolerant than a tree and gives respects and love to all, even those who have hurt him. Arjuna showed his soft-hearted principle of true compassion. The Kauravas caused him immense grief, yet he felt pain to hurt them with his arrows. The Bhagavad Gita will teach us the correct way to show these qualities. This does not mean that you should ever allow someone to hurt you. So, after facing these calamities, especially the Draupadi's disrobing, which was the main cause for the Kurukshetra, Arjuna is feeling compassionate, and he's like, no, I can't kill him. So, I have a little heart flip book here, and examples outside Bhakti literature and examples in Bhakti literature of compassion. So before I start this, in the beginning of the Bhagavatam in Canto 1, there's a example of forgiveness and compassion shown between Draupadi and Ashwatthama. So basically, Draupadi's 5 sons after the Mahabharata, they were beheaded by Ashwatthama. He just, cut their heads in the night. And Draupadi knew about this, and she was very sad and very mad at the same time. And then Arjuna, he said that I'm going to bring his head to you, and you can bathe in his blood. And basically, he went, and Krishna came, and also the Pandavas, they went to go kill Ashwatthama, or bring them with him in front of Draupadi. So basically, they went. They found Ashwatthama, and Krishna's like, kill him immediately. So Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself, says, kill him immediately. And then something happened, Ashwatthama, he took his Brahmastra out, and then he was such a fool, he couldn't take it back. Then he hit Subhadra Mata's baby in her tummy, and then Krishna saved it, and his name was Parikshit, and all that happened. And then eventually they got him they tied him up, and they brought him in front of Draupadi. Now Draupadi, that night, 5 of her sons killed at once. And you know what she says? She says, release him immediately. And you know why she says that? Because he was a Brahmana. And even though he was not a good one, he was still a Brahmana, and she said, release him immediately. I cannot bear seeing this Brahmana tied up. And so this is forgiveness and compassion. Even though her sons were they were dead because of him, she still said, let go of let go of him. So so that's one kind of lesson, forgiveness and compassion. But like this said, that doesn't mean you should ever allow someone to hurt you, okay? So don't take that. Don't let anyone hurt you. So basically, here are some examples outside Bhakti literature of forgiveness and compassion, and inside. Now, I'm not going to share the outside ones, but I'm going to share the inside ones. So, if any of you read the Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Prithu Maharaja's son and Indra Devta. Prithu Maharaja was a great king, and basically he was having a 100-horse sacrifice, and Indra Devta, being envious of his devotion, or him being such an exalted devotee, he stole 1 horse. And now, how can the sacrifice be complete? They need 100 horses. Now, Prithu Maharaja ordered his son to go kill him, and Indra Devta was actually disguised as a Brahmana. Now, Prithu Maharaja's son, whenever he would go to kill him, and first time he went, and he saw the Brahmana, he saw him as a Brahmana and just left. He just left. He wouldn't kill him. And then he's like, oh no, I have to kill him. And he goes back up. He sees him, Indra Devta as a Brahmana, and he leaves. So, this is kind of like Ashwatthama and Draupadi. They see a Brahmana and they respect him, and they forgive and they're compassionate, even though he stole a horse for an important sacrifice and that was not right. He wouldn't kill him. Then another example is Balaram ji and Yamuna Maya. Balaram, basically he wanted to bathe in the Yamuna with his friends. And basically, he's like, Yamuna, be ready. I'm gonna go. And then Yamuna, she was like ignoring. She was just like, doing her stuff. She was ignoring. And then he got mad, and he threatened her, and she's like, oh, please forgive me. And it's pretty rude to offend exalted devotee like Balaram or Sheshanag. So and then she was like, oh, please forgive me, and he forgave her. And so that's kind of like with forgiveness and compassion. And then Lord Vishnu and Bhrigu Muni, if any of you guys know the story, Bhrigu Muni, he was doing a test, and basically that's kind of a long story, so I'll just come to the part with Vishnu. But he comes up to Vishnu and he kicks him in the chest. Garbhodakshaya Vishnu is sleeping, and he just kicks him. And he's Vishnu. Like, who would kick Vishnu, right? And instead of Vishnu being mad or doing anything bad, because he can do anything, right? You know what he does? He comes up to Bhrigu and starts massaging his foot. And Lakshmi Mata, she's like, what is this? He just kicked you? And then I actually have a picture of here. And then Vishnu, he's like, are you okay? My chest is like thunder and it's very hard, and I hope your foot is okay. And here's a picture of Bhrigu getting his foot massaged by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that's actually a really funny story. And then this is the other one, Mother Yashoda and Krishna. So Krishna, he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he's getting hit by a person, by a stick. He's getting hit by a stick. And actually he wanted this, but even though he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he's getting hit by a stick, and he's like crying, he's like, I don't want to get hit by a stick, right? And he's running, and Yashoda Mata, he's hitting him with a stick because of him stealing Makhan. He still loves her so much, and as a mother, you know, in one of the rasas, I forget, Vatsalya ras, right? Yes, Vatsalya ras. That's the like a mother-son relationship. So he still loves her. So basically, these are examples of forgiveness and compassion in the scriptures, and you should always let your anger kind of fade away for a person, and you shouldn't basically be very angry. For example, there was a story, this is, it's pretty short, but there was a murderer. He murdered a father's son, and the murderer, he felt like I shouldn't have done this, and in prison. And then one time he just met the father after prison, and he's like, please forgive me, I'm so sorry I murdered your son. And the father forgave him, and he forgave him. He's like, it's okay then, I forgive you, even though his son was murdered. So these were just some examples, and that's kind of like a lesson of the chapter 1 of Bhagavad Gita, to forgive and be compassionate. And for a third time, that doesn't mean you should ever allow someone to hurt you, okay? So yeah. Any questions? You know, it's really funny, Prabhupada, he finished, this is a story, he finished a Bhagavad Gita, and he says, any questions? And everyone's like, no. Everyone's shaking their head. He's like, do you think you know everything? They're like, no. It's like, then why don't you have questions? So, yeah, but it's okay. So I guess that's
one
it.
question that I can.
Oh, yes? Yes, go ahead.
So you mentioned a point about since he was Brahmana, and that's why compassion was shown, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you believe that that's because he was by birth Brahmana, and that's why compassion was shown, or by karma he was being a Shudra?
So I think it was probably by birth, and she also thought, I forgot to add this, she also thought that a Brahmana, exalted Brahmana like Dronacharya would feel, his
Mother.
wife, yeah, the wife, he died though, but the wife would feel so much sad that her son died, is dead if they killed him. So that's another reason why she didn't want her to feel.
Attachment, right?
Yeah. It's
One of the scripture is to go against attachment. Anyways, I don't mean to take you for a ride, but that's
no, she didn't want her to feel sad, and she didn't want a Brahmana to be killed, even though he wasn't he was born a Brahmana, but that doesn't mean he was really a good.
Very good, very good.
So he was actually called Brahma.
No, if something happened and it already happened, and it's kind of hard to explain. My friend, we were actually having a discussion about this, and she was, someone was like saying mean things about her. Someone said mean things about her, and she forgave her. She's like, okay, fine, I forgive you. But she kept on doing it. The girl, she kept on saying mean things about her. Now, one time, fine, you can forgive. Second time, okay, maybe you can forgive. Third time, it's a little bit too much. So if they keep on doing it, then I think you need to, move aside. But yeah, that's kind of what she meant. Like, yes, forgive, but if they keep on doing it and they don't learn from their mistake and they're kind of like, oh, please forgive me, I didn't mean to do this, but they're kind of like lying and they're just doing it again, then what's the point, right? They're not even learning, so yeah. Any other questions?